AI is an incredibly popular topic, not just in CS, but across the board. We at Cinchy like to make a controversial statement, which is AI is not enough. And today we'll talk through why that's the case, what you can do about it, how you can make life easier for your CSMs. And we're seeing a war out there between chief revenue officers and new business compared to chief customer officers and retention and growth of the existing base. We want to help people win in the chief customer officer area because we think it's a better way for businesses to go, and we'll talk through that as well. So you may go like, he's worked for a software company. What does he really know about what we do? I've actually been a Gainsight customer twice. One was a tale of success. One was not a tale of success. I, about 6 years ago, led the cloud and software group at NetApp, which is a $6.5 billion infrastructure company. And our growth retention rate was 77%. My salespeople were complaining because they were spending more time reselling customers than going and selling new customers. The business couldn't sell enough new business to make up for the leaky funnel at the back of the bucket. We brought in Gainsight, implemented it well, and the retention rate went from 77 to 92%. So a big success with Gainsight on that front. Last company was a company called Brant. They're a $100 million ARR business. Gross retention rates were at 79%. We couldn't sell our way out of it. We couldn't get the data we needed into Gainsight to be successful with it and ended up not continuing with Gainsight. So we'll talk through how you can make your unsuccessful tail a successful tail and really win the war between a customer organization versus a revenue organization. So starting with the story, what we do on a day-to-day basis is go out and talk to customers. And a common theme we are hearing with customers is that contentious tale of revenue leader versus customer leader. And talking to the customer success leader about where they were in their business, where the challenges were. And what was happening was they had lower retention rates. Customers were starting to bow out. The sales in general were slower than expected because the install base was such a large percentage of the revenue of the company. Their NRR was declining as well. No cross-sell, upsell going out. And there were churn issues. And it became a big issue. So CEO level down, they were looking at the problems to understand what was going on. And the CS group couldn't figure it out. Was it a sales problem? Were we overselling? Was it a marketing problem? Was the message wrong about the target audience and who we should be going after? Was the product breaking? Those were all the stones they were uncovering to really try to figure out why are our gross retention rates down and why are our net retention rates down. So over time, what they found was that there was a considerable amount of preventable churn. You know, we've all faced that, right? It's where is the churn coming from? They had success plans, but they were outdated. The conclusion that really came to the team was that the customer success people were spending so much time chasing data and systems across the business unit. I've got a meeting. I got to go talk to a salesperson or log into Salesforce and read the last notes, if there are those notes. I came out of a sales background. I never updated notes, making my CSM's lives harder. If the customer's paid recently, do you have to go check NetSuite? Do you have to go check account payable, talk to somebody in finance? How many support tickets are open? Have there been any product enhancement requests? How long have they been sitting there? What are they waiting on? So CSMs were spending so much time going and chasing information that they didn't have the time to do the jobs that they were hired to do, which is to make customers' lives better. What happened? The SVP of customer success was let go. It all went into the chief revenue officer's hand. And having a chief revenue officers aren't the best at customer success. They tend to focus on the transaction, not the relationship. But this person won the battle of who was going to lead the customer organization because the gross retention rates were so low because CSMs were chasing data around the organization and not spending time with customers. So as we talked about, what does that really look like? We see CSMs with data scattered completely across the organization. Some of it's in gong calls or chorus calls. Some of it's in Excel spreadsheets that somebody may have put together decades ago and never updated. Some of it may be in marketing automation like a HubSpot or a Marketo. That information is just so widely spread that the customer success people are doomed to fail because prepping for a meeting takes 2, 3, 4 hours. And when you're supporting 100 customers, the math just doesn't work. And customer success organizations, compared to revenue that they bring in, have been underinvested in over the last several years. And unfortunately, I don't know if you all are seeing this, but in these economic times, we see it even more challenging at times. People are like, oh, our install base, just minimize the amount of spend there. We need to go put everything behind salespeople to go get net new customers. And yet, the book of business for customer success is so much higher than the net new. All right, so AI is here to save the day, right? Maybe. What we're seeing is AI is incredibly good at very small tasks, but customer relationships with customers are not small tasks. The engagement with a customer is not a salesperson, a CSM. It's the whole organization that engages with a customer. And what happens is, with information spread all over the organization, how do you get it to where a CSM can not only get that information, but get it in an actionable, engaging format? We talked to a lot of organizations that'll go, hey, actually my CSMs have all the data they need and more. So much data, they don't know what to do with it. Well, it's because it's not in an interpretive fashion. So what we do at Cinchy and argue is the right way to do it is you pull all the data in your organization that's siloed today into a data mesh or a data network. Why? Because the aggregate look at your customer is more important than any individual integration to a scenario. So instead of AI applying on a scenario where you have a single gong call and interpreting that single gong call, what you really want is to look at every single conversation with the customer and to get an update on the organization based on that. Emails going back and forth, support tickets coming in, product enhancement requests coming in. All of that paints a picture of your customer that is absolutely critical to the supporting of them and increasing your gross retention and net retention rates. And the key element is you get it into the system that people are using every day. So Cinchy feeding that data network and the relevant insights that come out of that data network into Gainsight, so your CSMs are using the tools they're used to, they have the playbooks that they need in order to be successful, and they can trigger the actions necessary to make the customers' lives better. So I'm sure this looks familiar to many of you, right? This is just Gainsight. I shouldn't say just Gainsight. Gainsight's a lovely product. Sorry, Chris. So when you look at a customer 360, how do you get the most information and actual intelligence in the 360 view to make a difference? You can see in this case, it's standard tiles, and we're going to take a little bit of a deeper dive. This is an actual customer of ours. We scrubbed them and cleaned up the information, but this is an actual use case that we use on a day-to-day basis in our Gainsight instance. So in this case, our CSM, Allie, who may be in this room somewhere, she's right over there in the corner, said this customer is a greater than 95% chance of renewing. In our world, this is a relatively small customer, and we take a look every week at what our CSMs say versus what AI says. And our AI was saying 85%. We're like, what's going on? Allie talks to the customer all the time. She knows the customer. We're deeply integrated. We have relationships all the way up to the CEO. What's going on? Well, in order to really know, you need to pull in the full view of the customer and what that customer's got going on, not just in the product usage and the relationship. In our case, we pull in our accounts receivable information. So while this customer is using the product, looks great, we're pulling in data from NetSuite that says, hey, they're behind in their payments. This may not be churn that we can prevent, or it may be a discussion we have to have with the customer that's a little bit different that says, hey, instead of an annual contract paid up front, do we do monthly payments? Because you guys seem to be in a cash flow scenario. This was never a data element that prior was available to our CSMs to make decisions on, and flagged for them to be better at the engagement attached. The other thing that we hear frequently is how do CSMs do executive briefings and make sure that executives are ready to engage with the customer? So I don't know if any of you know Ben Defoe. He's a Gainsight sales leader. He said to me last week, I've spent 50 hours prepping documents so Nick's ready to meet with customers at Pulse. 50 hours of an expensive person out of the field selling, pulling together information. He's like, I'm going to Salesforce. I got information in Salesforce. I'm going to Zendesk. I'm going to this system. I'm going to this system. And ultimately, if you have that data in a network and create a data product around it, you can have it feed through AI and give that summary in real time. Make it available at any point. I joked that as a sales rep, I was always horrible at taking notes. We actually see when CSMs transition accounts between years, it's one of the most frustrating processes as a new CSM trying to ramp up on an existing customer to go, I'm going to call the old CSM. The old CSM's like, I got 10 new customers that I got to get up to speed on as well. I don't have time to brief you on every element of it. So Gainsight should do it for you. From data across the network that people have, the collaborative intelligence on the engagement of the customer thus far. So what does that mean? What does it mean for the business? Look, it's increasing NRR renewals. We'll find the churn that's preventable. We'll actually give you action items that you can take to prevent that churn and present it to your CSMs in a form and fashion that will make them more intelligent and explicit in their interactions with customers, focused on what's most important, which is the customer time, not on systems and data mining. And what's the impact of that? If in $1 billion business, if you can get gross retention rates from 87 to 92%, over 5 years, that's almost $1 billion. So who's going to win the war on who controls revenue when you're bringing $1 billion more into the business? And Gainsight with collaborative intelligence feeding Gainsight's Copilot makes that so much easier to do because your CSMs have the necessary intelligence to do their job. So what does that really mean? We talked about it. Revenue, it's $1 billion. It helps your growth rate, helps your earnings. Your forecasts are more accurate. Your CEO, CFO are going to view you as heroes because you have predictable revenue that's driving stock growth. Valuation's going up. So as we all know, when your earnings are reported every 13 weeks for a public company, and I realize that not all of you are public companies, but that drives the stock price, that predictability and repeatability. And it allows you to gain that market share that will help drive your stock price up. But more importantly, probably to this audience, it's the reputation as a customer success organization. And it's the reputation of your company and how you engage with customers. Really allowing the CS experience to be above and beyond and really deliver that wow factor to your customers because you have time to do it. You have all the information necessary with the customers to make it happen, to prevent that churn. And this is how a chief customer officer becomes a chief customer officer versus a VP of customer success. So it's really around those outcomes that allows customer success to become a hero. I will tell you that in a $1 billion company environment, no chief revenue officer has the ability to drive $1 billion of impact to the business over 5 years, but your organizations do.
So that's it. Thank you. We do have some questions. Is there an integration with Cinchy and Gainsight today? The answer is yes. And I'll talk a little bit more about that because I think that it's relevant. What the beauty of collaborative intelligence really allows you to do is tie all the data elements that you really want into that network effect, and then there's one integration to Gainsight. So you don't have to tie every system in the world into Gainsight. It's liberating the data, tying it into the Cinchy network, and then infusing that data into Gainsight. Why that matters is because your IT organization don't really need to be involved in it. So how many people in this room have gone to IT and say, I need to integrate X to Y to Gainsight, and they go, it'll be 6 quarters before we can take a look at that. I've lived through that. It's miserable and painful. So we can liberate and infuse from 5 to 90 days and empower your teams on that front. As a CEO, can you share more insights into how I should talk with CEOs about this? Oh, that's a great question. I would guarantee that most CEOs are looking right now at the ROI of the function. So is customer success and the investments I'm making in customer success more valuable than hiring another salesperson, another sales engineer, another architect, another engineer? I'm talking in software terms, but it's relevant in hardware terms as well. So every hire is very well scrutinized, and every dollar spent matters right now. So people are looking at, how do I do that? The fact that you can show in a Gainsight environment where you've already made an investment, new levels of intelligence to drive higher engagements with your customers, knowing exactly what they do, all of that will make a difference to them. One thing that I don't have the screenshot up in front of us anymore as well, but we do everything as part of our data infusions, including scenarios where we're tying in payroll information and we have calendar data coming in. So we can say, hey, it's costing us $20,000 a year to support this customer. That's bringing in $400,000. That's great. Oh, we have some customers that's costing us $50,000 and they spend $20,000 a year with us. It's painful, but having the conversation with your CEO of, we may want to fire these 3 customers. They don't work for us. That's okay. So having those kind of dialogues. But I think that the other thing that you'll see is when I joined Cinchy a little less than a year ago, that got me excited was the summaries of what's going on in the account. Because I've worked at NetApp and we'd have a customer that spent $12 million a year with us, and they're like, well, you got to come talk to them. They're unhappy. Most NetApp customers are happy. If there's NetApp people in the room, I'm sorry. So they might be unhappy. But so we're going in and we're like, this customer spends $12 million. The briefing I got was the 5 minutes from the car to the conference room. And I said, well, is it in Salesforce? And the guys will go like, I didn't update any notes in Salesforce. So your CEOs will appreciate that you can brief them on your biggest customers in real time and exactly what's going on at any time. And I started my career in manufacturing, and in manufacturing, if you're in control of your process, people leave it alone. When customer success shows that you're in control of your process, meaning you know your customers, you know what they're doing, you know what to expect out of them, and you have predictability, people will empower you to do more. Hopefully that helps on that question. How is this different, complementary to the AI capabilities of Gainsight demoed in yesterday's keynote? I'm glad this question came up. Because when AI is not enough, Gainsight's Copilot is awesome. And you guys should use it. But the key element is, does it have all the data it needs to make smart decisions and smart recommendations? And we would argue that typically AI, without infusing enough data, is going to give you poor recommendations. Copilot's doing great on the data that's in your Gainsight today, but what if you could have financial information? What if you could have market updates on your existing customers? What if you could pull information from LinkedIn where one of your key sponsors just left company A and went to company B? All of that can be provided and pushed into Gainsight's Copilot to make Copilot smart. So we joke on the Salesforce side where they say Einstein knows everything.
By the way, Einstein doesn't. Einstein was an individual human being. Very smart, knew lots of stuff. Now imagine if you could have plugged in Einstein's brain into the internet. That's what Cinchy does. We can do the same thing in Gainsight Copilot. Is it possible to track a customer who is considering or discussing with competition? Absolutely. So we're talking about data, right? And there's data everywhere. I don't know if there's 6 Sense people in the room. 6 Sense uses Gainsight. We're a customer of 6 Sense. They have intent data in it. So imagine you plug 6 Sense into the data network that's powered by Cinchy with AI on top of it. You go, oh, LinkedIn just showed me the CIO of this company just left. 6 Sense is showing me that they have intent to purchase my competitors. Boy, I better be all over this. So it really can allow you to take in new signals that have never been available before because you had to go to CIO and go, hey, CIO, I need new data elements. And I go, it's going to be 6 quarters before I can get it to you. Now that information can be available in weeks. How do you partner with PE VCs that want you to do, but for 30 plus companies that we may own or have a stake in? Come talk to me. It's interesting. Where we got started as an organization was with big banks and really easing that integration problem at big banks. Where we found that evolved to was system consolidation. So we have one customer right now rolling 17 ERPs into one. That's a really hard problem. We find PE firms very similar. They acquire a lot of people. You got to get all those acquisitions rolled together. It's not that different than a collaborative intelligence for customer success. It's finding out the right data elements. You may have 16 instances of Salesforce. We've seen customers with that kind of bit, and they want to feed all that data into Gainsight normalized. That's what that collaborative intelligence data network does. Can we talk about how to partner with sales on this since it's revenue impacting? It's a good question. Salespeople don't tend to like to talk to other salespeople, and customer success people are salespeople, even if it's the sale of driving the adoption of the product. Some of the value of a collaborative intelligence platform is having that information flow back and forth between Salesforce, Gainsight, Dynamics, it doesn't really matter, so that everybody's staying on the same page and that data is feeding into the network automatically so that you don't have to be in the awkward situation of coming to somebody like me and going, hey, you didn't update the last phone call. Where are we? Because I need to update X, Y, and Z. It's done automatically. That being said, I think where customer success can outshine salespeople is typically customer success people are better at relationships, internally and externally. Salespeople want to get a deal done and make money. So if you can come and bring unique insights to the table to your sales team and go, hey, we're seeing the adoption of this product accelerating, we're seeing this executive at risk. Sales, if you go to the table, here are the 3 talking points to bring to this executive. You do that 2 or 3 times, your salespeople will want to work with you much more closely to drive revenue because it matters. They're going to get paid on it. And that's the biggest driver for salespeople typically. Does Cinchy help with solve for customer identity across siloed data sets? It's not easy, but yes. We hear frequently, okay, I have IBM as a customer. Is it IBM? Is it I.B.M? Is it the funny logo they use with a little B in it? Is it IBM Technologies, et cetera, et cetera? By actually having your data platform outside of Gainsight, it allows you to rectify and use logic AI on top of those customer profiles to say, are these the same customers or not? And then map that data before it comes into Gainsight. So when your CSMs get it, it's clean, it's efficient, it's done at the you can do it at the relationship level, not just at the customer level, so that you have that, again, full view of the customer going. How is Cinchy different than Gainsight cheat sheet? Frankly, we feed the cheat sheet.
I think, again, it all comes back to access to the data. Cinchy is really driven around finding new data sources that can impact your ability to service your customer, rolling them into that network quickly and efficiently, and then summarizing that information so that your CSMs can take action on it. If your CSMs are used to using cheat sheets, we can feed the data directly into the cheat sheets, which makes those cheat sheets stronger because, again, you're getting new elements like what's finance doing, or what's marketing done to the customer? Have they done references for us lately? So that your cheat sheet knows exactly what to do efficiently and effectively with the customer. How is Gainsight data being exported, ingested? So it's a good question. In a lot of cases, we're pushing data to Gainsight, not necessarily putting it back in. But Cinchy's core value proposition is we're a bidirectional integration tool between these tools. So you can liberate the data in Gainsight, create a digital twin, so that as that data moves around, it's not impacting the performance of Gainsight while your teams are using it. And then it goes into the Cinchy network where we normalize it and make sure that the data is accessible in the right ways. So again, we may look at, all right, IBM in 14 different flavors. We consolidate that into one view of IBM, and then we can push it back to Gainsight. We can push it to Salesforce. We can push it to Dynamics. We can push it to your billing system, whatever makes sense in your world. It sounds like there are a lot of integrations we would have to manage. How much work does it take to keep everything active and working smoothly? You don't have to manage a lot of integrations. We liberate the data once through the APIs. It goes into the digital twin, and then we create the data products that allow you to do that. To get data from 5 different systems and then infuse it into Gainsight, and by the way, come by and see us at the booth. We'll show you the demo. It took us about 3 weeks to get that done. As we look at new data sources, sometimes it's a week, sometimes it's 2 weeks, but it's rarely more than that. So in our world, as an example, one of the data points we're looking at now is if we're selling to a public company or renewing a public company, we're now in their annual report data. What was most important to the executives as they reported to Wall Street? Dan, who is one of our founders and I know is in this room, he liberated that data in 2 days, and now we're starting to feed it into our system in that fast. So the key element is getting the data out, getting access to it in an efficient and effective manner, and then making it available to your people. We manage that all for you. If our systems are already flowing into data lakes and into Gainsight, how would you differentiate the need for Cinchy? Data lakes are great for historical data. They're not good at real-time updating all of the systems that need to be updated with Gainsight. The other element is when you want to apply intelligence on top of that, how do you do that in your data lake? It's another hop and a skip. And God love IT architects because they buy lots of software, and I've sold them a lot over the years, but they don't want to change anything. So getting new data in is similar to the conversation with the CIO of going, okay, I want to add 17 more data elements. It's going to take a long time. It's going to be expensive. You're going to be deprioritized behind other people because that's what happens in IT organizations. So we can take a feed from the data lake, but also into your real-time systems and how those engage and move forward. What if we like more than 5 systems? What's your average uptime? Do you support these open APIs if there's an issue? Would we have a CSM? More than 5 systems? Awesome. I think we have 72 different data feeds in our own network. So quite a few. Everything from, again, we do calendars to payroll, so I can tell how much a customer costs us each year. We do email system going in, gong calls, et cetera, et cetera. More than 5 is great. What is our average uptime? I'm assuming that's uptime to get started and moving, but the system's up all the time. We run some of the biggest banks in the world and their customer 360 programs, so it stays up. But if you want to add new systems beyond the 5, it's weeks, not months. And we do support the open APIs if there's an issue.
And would we have a CSM? Yes. Allie's written back in the corner. We have other CSMs too, but Allie's here supporting us this. And yes.